We haven't mentioned the ferocious Yorkie. Oh, by the way, speaking of ferocious Yorkies, your mom is going to be here. Our next show at Delano's Pizza Live will be 6 p.m. November 14th. A couple special guests, Russo's mom, and the real Russo's mom, not the weird Twitter follower, and Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9 will be here.
Yeah, my mom called me the other day. She's like, I'm coming to your podcast with Dawn. I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. So we're going to have Dawn on here, too. My mother's going to take over the show. I should just not show up that night.
I agree.
I need to video that. So I have to go out when I get the paper every morning. I go out with a bat just in case. So
I would be very careful. My mom called me today. She's like, Oliver is trembling every time I take him for a walk. And I'm like, all right, sorry.
I have to admit, I can't believe I laughed at your mom's dog getting eviscerated, but you said the words a ferocious Yorkie, and I could not stop laughing.
Yes.
Okay, now my wild-related question. Explain to someone as hard-headed as me, what is their process with the development of Greenway? Will it kill them just to leave them in Iowa for a few months? Isn't that the whole reason they signed Fair and Hendricks and Brown and Reed?
Well, no, shockingly, the one thing is that all summer long they were talking like Greenway was on the team, and I don't know the rush to get him back up here. And it is bizarre to me because Paul says all the time that I believe in keeping guys in the minors. Chuck Fletcher used to say that as well. And Paul said it. I asked him about Luke Cunnin. Let him play. Let him play. Let him play. It was his answer. I believe in that. And yet Greenway is here, coming off not the greatest college career, and he's just kind of anointed a spot right now. But look. I think that this isn't the last time he's going to go down. I think Erickson X should get a stint down there, especially before they blow his waivers, like they've done so many others, Eric Holla, Mikey Riley, people like that. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I'll be interested to see when we see Cunnin at some point. He's playing great down there, but again, they want to keep him. I'll tell you with Dumba, the one thing that they've tried to figure out, Cunnin is, or not what they've tried to figure out. I think what happened with Cunnin that he's just got to accept is they got spooked by the Robbie Fabry injury last year. Here's Fabry that however, if he was rushed back or not, but he had a torn ACL 2 years ago. He comes back and he tears it immediately again. And I think they just want him to continue to play and play and play. So we'll see. And then the other thing they did today, by the way, is they signed Colton Beck, who is a late bloomer, somebody that has worked for everything that he's gotten, and now he puts him in the call-up conversation. That's the only reason. What would be a reason for them to take a guy that was on an AHL deal and put him on an NHL deal? So maybe he's in somebody that they're going to call up, whether it's imminently or whatever. We'll see.
Good stuff, Bert.
The other thing I will say on your Greenway question is I do kind of wonder the dynamic when Greenway goes down there and it's so public that he's only going down there for a couple games, and then everybody that has never gotten a chance up here sees him swoop in there, get the hat trick, granted, but even without the hat trick, he was coming back, and just what that kind of does for a room. Because these guys are human beings. That deep down, whether they, if I said to you, hey, Luke, what do you think of that eating it? Oh, I don't worry about that. But deep down there in the conversation, like, oh, deep down that all of them are like, this is a bunch of BS. Some of those guys that have been there forever. And that doesn't, maybe that motivates them. I don't know, but we'll see.
Such a mouth on you.
Yeah, I know.
John Hedges is here. He runs Fixology Repair in Minnesota, fixologyrepair.com. I'll be visiting him shortly to get my iPad fixed. They sell watches. They sell accessories. They do repairs on pretty much any device you can think of. Including watches. They fixed Michael's watch before. Third floor of Mall of America by Nordstrom's, and downtown in the Skyway, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, not far from here.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
This is like 5 straight shows, by the way. You said you're going to bring your iPad into John Hedges. I mean, what's taking so long?
Because I have 2 jobs, and I just never break away. And I've also been traveling to New York.
John comes to every show. Just bring your iPad to the show.
You know, that's now you got me. I can't argue with that. I should just bring the damn thing with me, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again.
Yeah. So right now, right on the NHL here, do you think Mike Gill's position is in jeopardy right now?
It depends.
This
on
brings
how...
back old times.
Yeah,
This used to be the question of the week every week for 4 years.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That really is a flashback here. I've gotten out of those questions. I don't know. They're coming off a big win over Chicago. They had a win in Toronto recently. They blew the game in Winnipeg. If they lose a couple times here to the Wild here in the next couple of weeks, anything can happen. But, Ben and I were talking before the show. Mike has a tendency to get these teams out of this, and then they go on absolute tears, and maybe this will happen again. I'll see Mike in the next couple days. I'll see him a couple times here in the next couple weeks because the Wild play there twice. Weird road trip. Bookends the California trip. But there's a lot of pressure on him just because of the offseason moves that they made. Clearly, there's a lot of pressure on him. I mean, the GM is not firing himself, I think, after making all those moves. So, but my guess is he gets his team out of it. We'll see. I mean, they're getting Fabry back. Jake, it's up to Jake Allen, too. Remember when Mike Yeo took over for Ken Hitchcock a couple of years ago, Allen went on an absolute tear. I mean, it was crazy. He had like a 950 save percentage from the All-Star break on. So,
good question. Or did you have another one?
Yeah, another one is for the overseas game here for the Europe here, as the NHL approached the Minnesota Wild for a future.
Not yet, but I don't know if they've approached anybody. But Bettman said today that they're going to have games next year in Switzerland, in Prague, Czech Republic, in Stockholm, and in Germany. Maybe it was the other place. I can't remember. And I did reach out to the Wild, and if they are if they've reached out to teams yet, then it's not a good sign that the Wild are amongst them. But right now, there's been no conversations about the Wild going overseas, but the Wild would be up for it if the league approached them.
So. We have a question from Vicky and some Twitter questions. I have a question for you, though. Mm-hmm. When I get on a plane, I put on the noise-canceling headphones and I listen to music or watch a movie or something. Every time you get off a plane, you've made like 5 friends. How does that happen?
Yeah, I know. The one yesterday, I just got up from my seat to put my laptop down, and somebody just came up to me, and I did get spooked. I was like, I was like, I didn't know what the heck was happening. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a really friendly, affable human being, Jim. A lot of it's because my AirPods suck, by the way. For all you people a couple of weeks ago when I asked what headphones I should get to help me transcribe, and you said AirPods. I mean, are you kidding me? You can't transcribe using AirPods with an airplane rumbling in the background, and it's not exactly loud in the fuselage in the cabin of a plane.
Why don't you use noise-canceling headphones like the rest of us?
Well, I mean, I've been starting to use that again, but man, it's brutal. Anyway,
I mean, life changed for me.
AirPods are good for speaking on the phone and if you're walking around the river listening to music. They're great, but I mean, not for what I needed it for. So everybody that told me to buy AirPods, you owe me $150.
Yeah, that sounds fair to me.
Yeah, so just Venmo me. $1 each.
All right. Let's thank Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. He handles Michael's insurance. He handles my insurance. And even though he works out of Champlin, between the app and phones actually working and
you and I can't afford
else,
Champlin.
No, we can't. But we can work with somebody who works in Champlin.
Exactly.
Even though we can't afford to live there.
Yep.
Like a big shot like Tony Hoagland.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If If you are unsure or can't answer all 700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
Vicky's question, because we can't do a show without Vicky bringing us a question from Philip Kallenberg, which I don't.
I love how
understand
Vicky sent this to you because she knew that I was going to ignore her text with the question from Philip.
Absolutely. So the Philip question through Vicky is: Bruce has conflicting statements about Nino's spot. Just using the eye test, in your opinion, does Nino look more comfortable at right wing or left wing?
I don't know. I mean, neither. I mean, he just doesn't. He hasn't played well this year, and so it's. You know, as Philip says, I mean, it's whenever they need him at whatever position is suddenly what they think he's better at. You know, whether it's they need him at right wing, you can enter the offensive zone on his forehand and unleash the shot. If he plays on left wing, he looks more comfortable there. So I don't even think Nino knows at this point. The other thing is, like, I know that Coyle deep down wants to play wing, but man, he looks better at center. So, Johnny, you going to ask a question?
All right, John,
wow.
Step right up.
Johnny asked the question to Mike Yo at the State Fair, if I remember correctly, about St. Louis. Bruce, excuse me, about St. Louis, and Bruce was the one that's like, I don't know about them.
Yeah.
So I give him credit. You know,
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. How come your mom Susie is being so quiet tonight?
I don't
hear
know.
her laughing. Nothing. Am I like not being funny?
Yeah, no, you're being pretty funny.
Okay,
So
all
I'm
right.
not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, funny for you.
Yeah. Funny, haha. I might. Anyway.
So my question, when the Wild were in Vancouver, why was Eric Stahl not given either a penalty shot or a penalty rolling into the next period?
I think Chris Rooney just overruled him. I think Chris Rooney felt it was a stick check. And I feel bad that that morning I was chatting with Chris Rooney. Next thing I know, I'm lighting them both up on the Twitter account. After the game in Nashville, I shouldn't say this, but after the game in Nashville this year, all of a sudden I'm walking in the press room and Chris Rooney, the referee, passed the thing and goes, "I better not read my name in your story tomorrow." And that was the game where he goes, "But I did mess up the sealer dive." Remember, the guy drove Fiala, was it? Or somebody dove, blah, blah, blah. But I think that Rooney, who did have a great view, felt it was a stick check, and some of the replays did look like that, some didn't. But what I didn't like is that the guy at center ice makes the call, and before he just skates right up to Rooney to almost ask, like, "Do I have it right?" And and I like Schlenker too. I met him. So Schlenker is the guy that I've mentioned on this podcast before. Is like, it's just like kind of a minor league player that gets called up. He's got to stay at a freaking Hampton Inn somewhere or a Holiday Inn when he's in the minors, but then he gets up and he goes and stays at the JW Marriott. And he's the guy that I mentioned of that. Like last year where I met him was in the Residence Inn in Des Moines. He was doing the game that Parisi played, the game that Parisi played for his rehab stint. And then all of a sudden he was essentially being almost called up to the pros the next game and doing the Parisi's first game in the NHL. So that's he's kind of an up and down referee. So I think he was a little not ready for prime time that night.
So another question just came to mind. Looking back when the Wild traded Scandella to Buffalo, do you think it would have been better for them to have Scandella over Brodin at this point in time?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, totally different types of players. I don't know. You think yes?
Let's do the David Kahn thing. Show of hands. Who would want Scandella?
Yeah.
Okay.
More people would want Brodin.
Who would want Brodin?
Yeah. I think
Brodin wins.
Yeah, I think Brodin's definitely the better player. That guy is gifted, man. When he skates back and takes, his footwork is insane. But I actually think he's playing really well right now. I think he and Spurgeon have been great. So I would probably go with that. So, and I love Scandella.
Good question. Thank you. From Michael Brannon on Twitter, any chance JEE gets the Greenway treatment, gets sent back to Iowa for a quick shot of confidence?
Yeah, I just mentioned that earlier. I think that they should at some point. I definitely think, although he's coming off a really good game, I thought. He drew he had the forecheck that led to the Parisi goal, and he drew the power play that led to the Stahl goal. Mm-hmm. So, what he is, and I will say Besser wasn't very impressive the game. He hasn't been impressive this year, but he wasn't very impressive the game that Wild were in Vancouver. So, hey, maybe 5 years from now, Brent Fuller will call me up and say, I think I have the last laugh. I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
If he ever speaks to you again.
Yeah, he would never call me up.
Yeah.
So,
thanks again to Delano's Pizza, delanospizza.com, 118 North 4th Street. Very close to Ramp C. A lot of parking right around.